while in the election coming up, so important. Texas Controller Don Huffines, congratulations, Don. That was a great win you had. Congratulations. We watched that very closely. Great job. And of course, we're honored to be joined by amazing members of the NASA Astronaut Corps, past and present. They are amazing indeed, and thank you for all you do and risking your lives to advance our voyage into the heavens. That's where you go to the heavens. And I understand this weekend that NASA has a very big launch coming up, the Roman Space Telescope. I was asking Jared, is that a big one? He said, it's really big. So I hope everyone that's watching, look at all the media back there, all the press. I hope you're going to inform people because this is going to be a very big deal. It's hundreds of times more powerful than Hubble, and it will help unlock the secrets of the universe. So to everyone involved here at NASA, good luck this weekend. It's a big deal. And I was given a little briefing. I said, I want to know about this if it's so big. And it really is something hundreds of times more powerful than Hubble. That's all you have to know. From the very beginning, America has always been a frontier nation, and space is the highest of all the frontiers. Our manifest destiny is to explore and settle this great unknown, carry forward the light of American liberty into the stars. And Americans were the first in flight, the first in the moon, and will certainly be the first in space no matter where it is. And I know we're going to be looking at Mars very shortly. In fact, you're already partially there. A lot of work's been done, and that seems to be the next frontier. You'll be stopping on the moon, and you're going to be going to Mars. What excitement, what excitement. Yet when I took office in 2017, America's endeavors in space had come to a complete halt. It was held back by decades of gross mismanagement in Washington. You had Peter, well, maybe they didn't like it. Maybe they didn't like the concept. I don't know, but it was certainly not anything. It was very embarrassing, actually, what had happened. Not only had the United States lost its ability to send our astronauts to the moon, but under a number of administrations, I have to tell you, but in particular the Obama administration, we even lost our ability to send astronauts into orbit at all. We had no ability in space whatsoever. We totally lost it with everything we spent, with all of the talent and all of the genius and all of the money. We had nothing. And when I got here, I came here, I went to Florida, I visited a couple of the places. I wanted to see what was going on. NASA was closed, absolutely closed. There was almost nobody there. It was like an empty building, not a good look. And I went down, I looked at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. In particular, I saw something that you rarely see. They had grass growing out of the cracks in the runway. You had a runway that was all broken up. It was all bad. I know all about that from being very good at construction. You had the cracks in the runway. We had grass growing out of the cracks. It's almost hard to do. And I said, boy, this is sad. It was very sad. That's where we started. Yet, as the world can see today under the Trump administration, we have brought back America's space program and came out of the dark age, and it's now into the golden age. This is the golden age of America, and this is a big part of it. So to every astronaut here today, I want to make this promise to you. Our nation will conquer, and we will conquer indeed, this vast frontier that we have before us, and we'll reach American courage, and we'll use American genius and daring and all of the things that we have that nobody else can ever compete with. We will explore it, we will tame it, and we will win it. We will always win. In 2016, the United States of America and our government, the private sector, launched just 22 rockets into orbit combined. So we did 22. And last year we conducted nearly 200 orbital launches, and that number will continue to grow very, very rapidly. As you probably know, you know every one of them that's getting ready. There are a lot of them. By embracing competition in the private sector, we freed up NASA to focus on what it does best, leading the cutting edge of exploration and human space flight. In my first term, I signed the orders creating the Artemis program and officially directed NASA to return American astronauts to the moon and then push onward to Mars. And that's exactly what we're doing. And we had a little interlude of 4 years, but somehow it was limping along. It was okay. It was limping along. And now I'm back. And we're doing more than limping. We don't limp. 8 years later, these dreams are really coming through at a level that nobody ever imagined. Nobody imagined what is happening now. And even more importantly, what space has done for our military in terms of offensive and defensive capability is incredible. Don't forget, I was the one that gave you Space Force, and we had no Space Force. And when people heard about it, they thought we were kidding. If they thought it was like comic book stuff, it wasn't at all. It's turning out to be one of our most important branches. It'll be and only getting more important with time. And we were number 3 in space at the time I did that, and now we're leading by a tremendous amount. We made some very good original initial hires. We put some people in charge that were really outstanding, and they did it right from the beginning. On July 4th of this year, I presented a veteran of the last mission to the moon, Apollo 17 astronaut Jack Schmitt, with a very special American flag that flew over the United States Capitol on our nation's 250th birthday. Very, very special flag. And it's here today, right next to me, and Jack is here also. Where's Jack? Where's Jack? Number 1, where's Jack? And number 2, where's the flag? Anybody letting me know? Jack, you look good. I know the flag looks good. Where's the flag? Oh, it's over there. It's hidden behind a lot of rockets. Thank you, Jack. Very good. I was wondering, I'm saying, am I supposed to be introducing a flag that I can't see? It's invisible. Great job, by the way. Great guy. He's still a good-looking guy. You were always a good-looking guy. Now, I think you're better with the white hair, if you want to know the truth. You look better than you did 20 years ago. Before the end of my term, American astronauts will return to the lunar surface, and we're looking forward to that. We'll do it, and we're then going to the next step. And when we do, they'll plant this very important flag to mark the site of the first permanent American settlement on the moon. They're going to have a settlement. They're building a settlement up in the moon. And we're not going to stop there, because under Administrator Isaacman, and I have to tell you, with Jared, everybody wanted him. You know that, Ted? Everybody. I got calls from you, but I got calls from Democrats. Can you believe it? I won't say anything bad about them. I'm not going to change their term or their name. But Democrats, DEM, and they called, and they said he's fantastic, which set him back a lot, because when I got so many calls from Democrats, they said, is that good or bad? But I got a lot of calls from Republicans and Democrats, something that doesn't happen very often. And the people just said he's just the best. There was no competition. There was actually no competition. And I made it, and these turned out to be better than we even thought possible, right? Even better. So we're lucky to have Jared. But NASA has already begun to work on the first ever nuclear-powered interplanetary spacecraft, which will launch in 2028 on a mission to Mars. It's coming so incredible. They have to go nuclear because they have essentially unlimited fuel. You don't have to fill up the tanks every so many miles, right? It's incredible. This ship will be among the first of what will ultimately be a massive American star fleet, making space travel almost as common as ocean travel today and bringing our military to a new level of excellence. Again, so much of this has to do with our military. I don't know if I'd be as enthused about it, but what it's done to our offensive and defensive capability is incredible. So we're doing this, but we're also, when you think of space or when you think of what we're doing here, the military is a very big factor. We're at levels that nobody ever thought would ever happen. And you see how well we fight. We fight very well. We're getting so much of our information from Space Force, as an example. Makes us a much better military. You look at Venezuela, what happened there. One day, actually to be exact, it was 48 minutes. And so much of that information came from space. And all the attacks are, you look at our blockade, which is incredible. It's so successful. Being helped by space, Ted, being helped by space. So who would think? But it's so important, and that's a big component of what you're doing out here. These are ambitious goals, but as I said in my inaugural address last year, ambition is the lifeblood of a truly great nation. If you don't have ambition, you're not going to have a great nation. When Americans are determined, nothing can hold us back. In the end, American dominance in this domain is not a choice. It's an economic and national security necessity. A nation cannot be first on Earth if we're going to be second in space. Just not going to happen. Somehow it just doesn't work that way. It makes sense. I was going to say, does it make sense? Yeah, I guess it does when you think about it, right, Brian? For this reason, in my first term, I created the 6th branch, United States Armed Forces, Space Force. And today I have another historic announcement to make. This is something that's so exciting for me, given the rapid growth of the Space Force and the commercial space industry and the expansion of our ambitions to the moon and far beyond the moon. Far beyond the moon will someday be thought of a close location, like in the old days, the subway, the first stop. The moon will be a close location. But it's clear that we will need to educate and train an entire generation of skilled service members, engineers, and civil operators, and everything else to do what we have to do and what we're right now doing the best and will continue, and I think by leaps and bounds. And that's why in a few moments I will sign an executive order to begin the process of creating a new national academy. It's called the U.S. Space Academy. That's a big deal. So you think of West Point, and you think of Annapolis, and you think of the Air Force Academy, and you think of the Coast Guard Academies. Great, they're all great. But we're going to have now a Space Force. We're going to have an academy for what the people in this room love the most. That's exciting. That's really exciting. And I'm going to be choosing a location very shortly. I know where some people want it that are in this audience. Some people come down like this one guy over there. He's lobbying me. Say, leave me alone. Just leave me alone. I'm not sure he's going to get it. I don't know if he's going to get it. But everybody wants it because it's the hot thing. Space is the hot thing. Tell you, Ted Cruz and Brian, you guys are there working too, I have to tell you. Just leave me alone, Ted, please. Leave me alone. But it'll serve both the United States Space Force as well as NASA and the civilian spaceflight industry. And it'll attract, train, and graduate the very best of our nation. And our nation really has to offer. And this is going to be, I said, I'll do it, but it's got to be top line. It's got to be the equivalent of the others, which are great. You know, they're among the hardest schools to get into. You know, you talk about the Ivy League schools. It's tougher to get into West Point, Annapolis, the Air Force Academy. Coast Guard, too. You know, we can't forget that. But so tough, all of them, among the hardest schools to get into, and they're great scholars, great everything going to that. You sort of have to have a lot of everything, not a little, but a lot of everything. But I said, this has to be comparable to that. You know, we don't want to do it in any other way. And it's going to be, even architecturally, it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be the top. It's going to be as good as it can get. You know, doing a bad building doesn't cost a lot less than doing a great building. I've always said it. Doing great architecture, doing something really great that's also practical. It doesn't cost much more than doing some of the bad stuff that you see all over the place. But we're going to make this so good and so exciting. But first, we have to honor the heroes who are inspiring the next generation of astronauts and pioneers and the people behind me. These people, I looked at them coming before I came up. I said, that's a good-looking group of people. I don't like speaking with those people behind me, to be honest. They look too good. But they're great people. They're great, great people. But the Congressional Space Medal of Honor, that's exactly what it says. This is a very rare thing. It's for courageous people, brilliant people, bestowed on astronauts who have distinguished themselves with exceptional service to the nation and all of mankind. Only 30 extraordinary men and women, long period of time, too, in the history of our country have received this extremely rare and distinguished honor. Real legends like Neil Armstrong, John Glenn, Alan Shepard, and the immortal heroes of Apollo 1. Today we add 4 new names to this elite roster of fearless explorers. That's really what they are when you think of it, fearless explorers that are very smart. The crew of Artemis II blasted off from Kennedy, NASA's great space center last April and flew more than 250,000 miles from Earth in, very interestingly, our 250th anniversary year. Only Jared could have thought of that, I assume. I hope that wasn't just by luck. I hope but it's pretty good. They actually went far beyond what would be the normal target, the furthest anybody's ever been in space. They crossed behind the dark side of the moon and glimpsed sights never seen before, never seen by human eyes, and returned to Earth at 30 times the speed of sound and splashed down in the Pacific Ocean, completing the flawless mission. It was absolutely flawless. Artemis II was led by a Navy veteran, a pilot, a father, and a great patriot, Commander Reid Wiseman. With unfailing strength and calm, Reid led the crew through every phase of the flight and their safe return to Earth. He was a great leader, respected by everybody. As many people will remember, during the mission, the crew named a previously unnamed lunar crater in loving memory of Reid's wonderful wife, who we lost to cancer. So they call it the Carol Crater. So that's making Reid a little weepy right now, because I heard she was an incredible woman. Will never be forgotten now. She'll never be forgotten. We honor her. And truly, the memory is all about the moon. That's a great one. I wish they'd name something like that after me, Reid, but I don't know. I'll have to get the governor's approval. I like that. That's beautiful. So, Reid, we salute you. We salute your family. And we congratulate you. Thank you very much. And today we also honor a distinguished naval aviator with an outstanding record as a test pilot. He served in 24 combat missions for our country before taking on the most dangerous mission of all, pilot Victor Glover. Victor led guidance, navigation, and control operations with perfect skill and absolute total precision. And you have to have great precision or things will not go well. And he did it with the heart and the faith that brought out the best in this incredible team before the spacecraft passed behind the moon and lost communication. And they did. I was watching. There was absolutely none. I said, what's going on? But they lost total communication with Earth for a fairly extended period of time. Victor turned to prayer and reminded us all of God's love for all of his children. And Victor, thank you very much and congratulations. It's incredible. Great story. We also, thank you. We also recognize mission specialist Christina Koch, who before this flight had already set a world record for the longest continuous flight ever by a woman in space. On Artemis II, Christina led major science and observation tasks, making vital contributions to future missions and the advance of human knowledge. Christina tells young people, do what scares you. It's an interesting statement. I don't know about that, Christina. But that's the attitude that you have to have. You want to do this. And that is the attitude that she has, and I think that everybody standing behind me has, frankly. The further she went, the stronger she got. She was really amazing, they say, on the trip. She was just amazing. So, Christina, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Great job. And finally, we honor a master of science and physics, a fighter pilot, a great one, and a beloved member of the astronaut team, mission specialist, Jeremy Hansen. On Artemis II, Jeremy became the first non-American in history to travel beyond low Earth orbit. He documented lunar terrain while contributing enormously to space science and physics research. And along with Christina, he helped the crew stay healthy and develop standards and best practices. Jeremy, thank you very much. Great job. Great job. So with unmatched bravery and unwavering faith, these four extraordinary astronauts renewed the legacy of the pioneers and explorers who charted the world's oceans, climbed its highest summits, and tamed the American West. Great people, great men and women, incredible. That spirit is written into the soul of our nation, and in the daring deeds of these heroes, we're reminded that for America, no aim is too high, no journey is too far, no challenge is too tough. In this country, we're limited only by the size of our aspirations and the scale of our dreams. We have the American dream, and the American dream is back. I think the American dream is back, stronger than ever before. We're doing great. This country is doing great right now. Never did anything like it. 81 stock market highs in 1.5 years, never been anything like it, including they broke it again yesterday for the 81st time. And $19.2 trillion is being invested in our country from outside countries and interests and people. And we've never seen it. That's why I call it the golden age. It's an exciting time. Tomorrow's going to be very exciting. And today, thanks to the crew of Artemis II, those dreams are closer than ever before. And we're on the cusp of an adventure and something that's so special. People have really not imagined anything. It's really, civilization is into the stars. The stars are up there and they're beautiful, and you're right next to them. You have the courage to be right next to them. Few people do, but you're leading the way. It's great, great bravery. I want to thank again Reid, Victor, Christina, and Jeremy, very special people. And now I will sign the executive order creating the U.S. Space Academy, and then we will do the honors. Thank you very much, everybody. Great honor.
And you've been listening to President Trump there speaking at the Kennedy Space Station in Houston. He's, of course, here to give an award to the Artemis II crew. Okay, so right now let's bring in our Bill Harwood to talk much more about this day. We know this is an award that not a lot of people have received. But this is going to be like 34th astronauts that will receive it after this award is given today. So, Bill, talk to us more about this, the importance of this event.
I think if you really want to think about the importance of it, getting the president to the Johnson Space Center or any NASA facility is a very big deal, just in general. The award is significant because it's honoring people that this country believes really exemplify the best America has to offer. As you said, they're already included in that number. It's 30 now that will have gotten this award after today. And they started with Neil Armstrong, the first person to walk on the moon, includes the crews of the 2 shuttle missions that went down, and several other notable astronauts. And certainly these are deserving members. So having the president come down and make this announcement is a big deal for NASA, because it shows the White House has some of its attention span is devoted to the space program, and of course they'll welcome that under any circumstances.
The president also said he's going to sign an executive order to create a Space Force Academy. How important is that going to be? Is that something that we will actually see happen?
Mission specialist on Artemis II, Jeremy Hansen.
Well, he's signing an executive order to do it. We know almost nothing about that. He was comparing it to the Naval Academy, the Academy at West Point Army, the Air Force Academy out in Colorado, and the Coast Guard Academy, saying this will rival those educational institutions, with the focus being on space. He gave some general remarks, just simply saying that the role of space in today's economy, defense, all of that, is increasingly valuable. And he believes that we need to educate people to specifically do these tasks. But I'd point out that, all astronauts have advanced degrees anyway, almost all of them. So it's not clear how that's going to work, but it is a significant announcement.
Okay, let's listen in right now to the awards ceremony as it happens.
During the mission, he was integral to the crew surpassing the Apollo 13 distance record and reaching approximately 252,760 miles from Earth, farther than any humans in history. As mission specialist on Artemis II, Christina Koch demonstrated exceptionally meritorious service by leading major science and observation tasks during the mission's 7-hour lunar flyby, capturing and documenting impact craters, lava flows, surface fractures, and eclipse phenomena that significantly expanded understanding of lunar geology and solar corona behavior. She configured and oversaw Orion's cabin for flyby operations, including sensor alignment and systems readiness, and executed target Earth-Moon imaging sequences conducted from Orion's optical windows and solar array cameras. Her execution of in-orbit procedures, including participation in the orthostatic intolerance garment test, evaluating human physiological response during return to Earth's gravity, produced critical data that advanced crew health standards on future deep space missions. During the mission, she was integral to the crew surpassing the Apollo 13 distance record and reaching approximately 252,760 miles from Earth, farther than any humans in history. As pilot of Artemis II, Victor J. Glover distinguished himself through exceptionally meritorious performance by commanding and executing guidance, navigation, and control operations throughout launch, translunar injection, and return phases. He led manual control evaluations during Orion's return trajectory operations, validating spacecraft control modes and confirming the spacecraft's piloting characteristics for future missions. He maintained precise control of spacecraft attitude during lunar observation periods, enabling the crew to capture essential scientific imagery and meet mission-critical documentation objectives. His professional skill was further demonstrated during trajectory correction maneuvers and during final atmospheric entry and splashdown, ensuring the mission's safe completion and advancing deep space operational readiness for upcoming Artemis expeditions. During the mission, he was integral to the crew surpassing the Apollo 13 distance record and reaching approximately 252,760 miles from Earth, farther than any humans in history. As commander of Artemis II, Reid Wiseman exhibited exceptionally meritorious leadership in executing the first crewed lunar mission in more than 50 years, commanding and leading the crew through critical pre-launch validations, including SLS RS-25 engine readiness and Orion spacecraft power-up and suit integrity checks. During the mission, he commanded Orion's outbound trajectory, the successful lunar flyby, and detailed geologic observation operations, ensuring the spacecraft remained on the precise course required for the crew to surpass the Apollo 13 distance record and reach a maximum of approximately 252,760 miles from Earth, farther than any humans in history. Under his command, the crew executed return trajectory correction burns, manual control evaluations, and system verification procedures that culminated in a flawless splashdown and safe recovery, advancing the nation's readiness for future lunar surface missions.
Victor, Christina, Jeremy, what an honor to do this with you three. Mr. President, it means a lot that you are here at the Johnson Space Center.
So what you've been watching there is President Trump awarding the Congressional Space Medal of Honor to the Artemis II crew for their trip earlier this year to the moon, or their mission. And this is a huge deal because, as we learned earlier, Reid, from Bill Harwood, this is going to be the 34th astronauts who have made it. So you think of 30, and then now we got 4 more, so now we're getting to the 34th astronauts who've made it. So a big deal. It's not very often that astronauts get this, and it's exciting to see that happen.
Definitely a point of pride for so many young people who are in STEM classes right now in school and maybe aspire to being an astronaut one day. Mugo, enjoyed your coverage. Let's pick it up now and continue our coverage of this event. Let's have a conversation with CBS News space consultant Bill Harwood. He's live at the Kennedy Space Center watching the ceremony right along with us. So, Bill, let's talk a little bit more about what the president mentioned, which is the creation of the Space Force Academy. Of course, to Mugo's point, we've seen many generations of astronauts now here in these United States. What would this Space Force Academy need to actually become real in real life?
Well, like any other military academy, it would have to have a site, obviously, the facilities, the buildings. You know, the president talked about building beautiful buildings that would rival the architecture at the other service academies. We have no idea where that's going to be located. He was joking about people pestering him to get it into their state versus some other state. We don't know where it's going to be, and we really don't understand how it's going to be structured, what sort of curricula it will have, or anything like this. This was kind of a surprise to a lot of us that cover space. You know, he did set up the Space Force in his first term as a separate military branch. And so I guess it's fitting that it has its own academy to train people in the intricacies of space flight, which, according to the president, and really it's an almost a universally shared opinion, that space is increasingly valuable for the economy and for the nation's defense. And so the academy would obviously try to feed highly trained people into that system. But details, we don't have any yet. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out.
All right, Bill, always great to talk to you. Let's continue the conversation with CBS News senior White House and political correspondent Ed O'Keefe. He's in Houston. Ed, always good to talk to you. So give us a little bit of a picture of what you're seeing and hearing there in that room, especially reaction to that announcement of that Space Force Academy.
I think they're just as surprised as the rest of us were about that, Reid. But the bigger deal, as Bill said a little while ago, is the fact that the president's here at all. And Commander Reid Wiseman, who led the crew, made the point that it's a big deal that the president came today. You know, that's one of the biggest things the president can do, right, is his time and his convening authority, if you will. And so the fact that he's spending several hours here today on NASA's behalf is a big deal to this agency for sure. He is, in a little while after this, going to head over to Mission Control, becoming the third commander-in-chief to visit that well-known room, and he's going to place a call up to the International Space Station to say hello. Other presidents have talked to astronauts on board the space station, but no one's ever done it before, at least not since Ronald Reagan, if I'm not mistaken, from Mission Control itself. So continuing the time spent here at the space agency. This official event, this presidential White House event, comes the morning after he spent time last night raising, we believe, millions of dollars on behalf of the Republican National Committee and several Texas Republicans who are in tough and tougher than expected gubernatorial and Senate races here as the GOP is concerned about potentially losing its grip on power in this state. So that was a big reason he's here. This is the other. You see they're handing him a crew jacket, which I suppose is the least they can do as a thank you for him coming here today. Gathered there, by the way, with all the other astronauts from the Artemis program. We were remarking on this earlier. Maybe if Bill Harwood's still with us, he would know better that among those on stage is very likely the woman who will be chosen to be the first woman to go to the moon. So that gives you a sense of who's here and the importance of that personnel there behind the president. Anyway, with the familiar refrains of YMCA from NASA, Reid, back to you.
And we give an A-OK to that as well. Ed O'Keefe, I will not make you do any dancing, young man, but good to talk to you nonetheless. Always great. Have a good day. Okay, still ahead on CBS News 24/7. The jury is deliberating in the trial against a mother who has admitted to killing her children. Prosecution says, look, she made plans and knew what she was doing. The defense says Lindsay Clancy had outside forces influencing her in a case of postpartum psychosis. Much more ahead. The news continues on CBS News 24/7.
I'm Major Garrett in Washington, inviting you to the Takeout. Politics, policy, people, and pop culture served up weeknights. What's on the menu? Plenty. The day's happenings with curiosity, informality, and humor. It's serious discussion, but we do not take ourselves too seriously. Who is a better